Hi all, Fox from Fox and Kit Woodworks. I'm here to talk to you today and do a review over the Cutech 12-inch benchtop joiner. So in the shop, we'll say about a month ago, after a bunch of projects I had been doing, I realized that my little 6-inch Porter cable joiner wasn't quite big enough to work on some of the projects I needed done between urns and some signs. Uh, Needed to do an upgrade, so I started doing my research. I have some Wen products. Really like Wen. Looked at other brands like Shop Fox, Wahuda, and even like Jet. But depending on which one I was looking at, either it was too expensive or just not quite fitting what I needed because I really wanted to go big on the joiner. Most of the projects I'm working on these days, they are typically smaller, 6 to 8 inches. So I figured an 8-inch joiner would get me by. But after looking at the business and potential growth down the line, I really kind of needed a bigger joiner to be able to make sure that my boards were flat, the edges were jointed correctly, and could get just a better overall finish on my products. So with that in mind, I started going around and looking. Initially was looking at Wen, really like some of their products, saw their joiner, and I think they went up to about a 10-inch. Initially I looked at an 8-inch. Um, Give a shout out to Matt over at 731 Woodworks. I saw his review on the Wahuda, saw that he had a 10-inch and was like, hey, that 10-inch actually might fit the shop really well. Well, as I was going through all my research on it, I noticed that there was another brand called Cutech. They're relatively new to me, and with that brand name, I think I was told they're about 7 years in. Um, but noticed that all these tools looked very similar. There was just some differences in color, maybe a knob here or there, just slight variances and differences. And like we all know, a lot of these brands all have their parts manufactured at the same company. So started to do some research on Cutech, found out that they're based out of Taiwan, and they actually make joiners and planers for a lot of these different companies like Wahuda, Cutech itself, Wen, I believe Shop Fox was one of them that popped up, and even Bauer. So the fact is that when you're looking for some of these products, trying to find the right one that fits what you need and the price, especially these days with how our money isn't going as far as it should. You're trying to find the best bang for your buck. If money wasn't an object, then I wouldn't be working in this little garage. So anyways, started doing a bunch of review or watching a bunch of reviews online for them and really liked what they were putting out. Found out that they make Wahudas, they make Wens. Well, what am I getting from Cutech that would beat out them? Well, one, they offer a 12-inch benchtop joiner. Now, 10 inches is where I kind of thought, hey, that'll be good. Then I started thinking with some of the signs I want to do, they're 12 by 18. That would allow me to do a completely flat surface to be able to mount against the wall and then run through my planer so that it was just a really good finish. Not to mention um, the ability to expand down the road to other things. Even if I joint 3 boards together to 12 inches, or 2 boards together to 12 inches or whatever, I can still run it through this instead of running each one independently and then trying to make a jig and shimming it on the planer. So just hopefully speeding up the process. So at the end of the day, I decided to go with Cutech and um, went online, started looking around, went to Amazon, purchased one on Amazon. I think at the time they were going for $7.59, so a big investment, and got the box in a couple days later, maybe 5 days later, and realized it was the wrong size. And this is kind of what starts my story with Cutech as a company. So contacted Amazon. Some of their changes to their customer service department have been for the worse. Used to be you'd order something if it was wrong or it was sent to you wrong, that they would send you a replacement and you just had to return the one within 30 days. Otherwise, you get charged twice. That's all gone. You have to return the item for a full refund, and it can take up to 30 days or longer to get that refund. When it wasn't even my fault or something that broke on it, it was them sending the wrong product. So contacted Cutech over the weekend, left a message, decided to call them up on Monday, and got a hold of somebody. And hey, live body to talk to. by the way, Betty, thank you so much for all the information that you gave me on Cutech and also helping me out. Your customer service was fantastic. Gotta give you a big shout out. But she informed me that this was an issue that they had over the weekend. I was one of like 4 people that had the same thing happen, and they were trying to fix it on the back end. But assured me like, hey, if you get this order in today, I'll get it and I'll make sure it goes out ASAP. So while I was talking on the phone, I actually looked them up online. I had already done that before. Found out they actually give discounts for military, but it's through GovID. So if you're law enforcement, first responder, military, that should all apply. And I think it was like a 10% discount. And it actually ended up coming out cheaper than Amazon, and they included the free shipping on it since it was over the $50 or $100 amount, whatever it was at the time. So ended up getting it cheaper than Amazon, which was huge. And then on top of that, because they're based out of San Diego, I'm out of Sacramento. She saw the order come through. She asked me what color I wanted, something Amazon doesn't do also. They just randomly select the color for these. I got the rifle green. I really like that color. She made sure to put it all down on it and get it out to them, and it was out that day. I got it on Wednesday, 2 days later. So excellent customer service. But anyways, my review of Cutech and this 12-inch joiner, the goods, the bads, and I can tell you as a spoiler alert, not many bads that I've been able to find so far on the little bit of time I've spent on it. And also just a little information on Cutech and kind of, how I feel about this whole process with them. So first off, going into the package arrives. So the Wednesday, the package arrives. I do my unboxing. I was going to do an unboxing video. Unfortunately, those videos didn't have good audio on them, so I scrapped that. I'll try to do an unboxing video on the next thing I buy. But it came in a very heavy duty, cardboard box, typical standard when they ship things. But then this whole thing was encased in styrofoam, a good couple inches thick. And on the edges of all the styrofoam was almost like angle iron cardboard. It's the only way I can describe it. Just the L-shaped heavy duty cardboard to make sure nothing is getting dented or damaged. Opened it up, got everything out. It was all covered in in a plastic bag, had a nice protective cover over the cast iron top. Came in a couple different pieces. The main body, the fence, and all the attachment pieces were separate. It even came with the tools for it, which was a nice little addition. There's somewhere around here a box that actually holds all the little Allen wrenches and tools for it, and even the push blocks to be able to go through. In fact, I got it right here. Just a nice little box that held everything in there for it. So anyways, packaged really well. Would definitely give them 5 stars on their packaging, 5 stars on their customer service, the way they handled everything. They were very apologetic how everything turned out through Amazon and that they wanted to make everything right. So anyways, started to put the thing together. The instructions they gave, though simple, are pretty easy to read. The only complaint I might make or suggestion I'd make is that for the instructions, and I'll bring it up there so you can see it, is that they added some additional pictures on it. If you look here, what you can see is they have everything labeled, the fence brackets A, the fence is B, and this is, the holder is C. And when you look at it, you can kind of see what they're trying to tell you, and it was just a little difficult. Maybe a few additional pictures would help, but it went together really smoothly. One thing I will jump forward to on these instructions that I really liked, and a lot of other companies I haven't seen do, is they added this little QR code. And that was for any of the times you need to make adjustments. So I'm going to step behind the camera real quick. And takes you right to a video to show you how to do your adjustments for your in-feed, your out-feed, and the blades themselves. So really like that. Makes it really easy, user-friendly to do, especially if you need to make any adjustments. Talking to Betty on the phone, she explained to me that it should be perfectly good from the factory. They do a final test cut. In fact, I called them on Wednesday because I had noticed some wood chips in the packaging, and I was like, hey, this isn't a return that you sent out or anything like that, or is that just from the factory? She said, nope, rest assured, it's a brand new inbox. It's from the factory. Once they get everything done and dialed in, they always do a final test cut to make sure everything's aligned and within specs. So it was nice to actually hear that they do that as one of their final steps. So I got the whole thing together, went together pretty smoothly. I got my level out. I started checking everything. I didn't pull out the feeler gauge like they suggested to because my level's a little bit more beat up, but just to make sure it wasn't rocking, anything was off, obviously, looking down at it, no light coming through, things like that. In feed, out feed table looked really good. Got my fence mounted up, got my square out, made sure it was nice and square, and we were at that point good to go. So now I want to go into some of the features that I really like about this specific joiner. So like I said, they manufacture multiple companies joiners. If you go and look, Wahuda and Wen at their 8-inch or 10-inch models, they look exactly the same. There's just some color variances. But the big differences that I noticed is that since the manufacturer out of Taiwan, I think it's Shinpax, is who manufactures all these, they take in all the comments and suggestions from all the different companies and they make the adjustments. But some of the time, and a lot of the time, she was saying that their products, since it's the manufacturer's brand, will have these implemented before they go down to the other companies, or maybe it changes that they've wanted to make from what they've realized could be improved upon. So you kind of get a few extra features here and there. With that being said, what you're getting out of it is a solid cast iron table. That's 12-inch cutting surface, which I really like. The actual blades themselves are spiral head cutter. Let's see if I can get this out of the way so you can see it. Spiral head cutter. So it's got the 1/2-inch blades that are staggered around the whole thing. It's not the helical head, but still does a very smooth finish, cuts really nice. But the one thing I really liked about what they did versus some of the other companies when they've offered this is they actually put carbide blades in there. So, not going to have to change them out as soon and then go through, readjusting everything back to make sure it's cutting straight. One of the things that they do with their blades and what they talk about is that they only use blades that are 2-sided versus 4. A lot of the helical blades and other ones, they'll do 4-sided, and even some of the joiners that are spiral. But the reason why they say this is because on the opposite side of the cutting surface is a flat, solid edge. And the hope is that if you're using a 4-sided blade and one gets dinged or damaged and you try to line it up in the groove, it might just set that blade off at a little bit of an angle that might throw it off when it's making its cuts. So we'll see how that goes down the road. Maybe I'll do a future review of, hey, where it's at 6 months, a year from now. But I really like those facts on it. One thing a lot of other companies were reviewed on, like even Wahuda and Wen, was that they use an extruded aluminum fence just like Cutech has here. But what the Cutech has, and I think maybe a few of those other ones have added in now, but they added in stabilizer bars in the back, and I'll grab the camera so you can see it. So if you look in the back right here and right over here, those are some stabilizer bars. And when you look at it, it's got a knob that comes right up to here to hold the back. And then down here, it's got one on the base. So what that allows is when you are set up in square, that it locks this fence into place. So if you see when I push on this, even if I hold the joiner itself, that fence is not moving, but the whole thing is moving because it's locked in and solid and holding that position. So I really like the fact that they add that on there. There is an upgraded fence that you can buy that comes with some additional support pieces that's cast iron. That's something I might do down the road. But the nice thing with the cast iron ones, it adds a couple inches of height and length. So you get a little bit more area to work with when you're working on something tall or longer to be able to run against it. Has extending arms for when you're working on longer pieces, which is really nice. And on the ends of these, They actually have Allen set screws so that you can actually raise these up and down to get them perfectly aligned with your in-feed and out-feed table so that everything's flat. And if you go online and look, there's plenty of people that have actually modified these tables to where they've taken a piece of MDF, cut it to the same thickness as the in-feed or out-feed table, and routed out the bars so that it can sit in here nice and flat, which I think is a cool thing, and maybe I'll do that down the road. Additionally, it's got your on-off, similar to most, pull out for on, push in for off, the key on it to cut off the switch so you can't turn it on or off. It does have your adjustment for your in-feed table. This is the lock on the front, so very simple to use. You unlock it, and then you can make your adjustments here. And the adjustments go, from nothing to, let's see, that would be a 64th, so less than a 64th, all the way to an 1/8. They claim that it'll cut an 1/8 through the wood. I wouldn't do that unless it was something really soft and you're really trying to plane some wood off or cut some wood off. I've been running at a 64th, and it's been working great. I ran some maple and hickory through it, cut it just fine. I actually did a piece that was about 8 inches long, and it went through it just fine. So, or sorry, not 8 inches long, 8 inches wide. Really like that. And then also it has behind the beer your dust port for a 4-inch dust vac, but it also has an adapter that goes in there to be allowed to attach to a normal shop vac. So yeah, that would be the basics of this. So all right, I'm back. Had a few little things happen in the house, but we're all good now. So on to the big portion, the good, the bad, all those kind of things that go with it. So first off, I haven't had any complaints with it. I've only used it for one day. I'll definitely be posting a video down the road of showing you an update of where it's at, how it's doing, how it's performing, has it been able to hold true, and for how long. So for the good, things that I really like, obviously, cast iron top, solid base or solid surface. It's not going to get all messed up. If it does get a scratch in it, there's ways you can get that out by sanding it down, refinishing, whatever, but a nice solid top for it. This fence being solid and secured, this spiral head with the carbide blades, love that fact. Most importantly, out of the box, I didn't have to make a single adjustment. Today, I went through and cut like a couple different pieces of wood and worked on some projects just as a test run. And it was true out of the box. Could you make some minor adjustments here? Yeah, but there would be nothing you'd be really gaining from it. You'd be potentially running into, throwing it off more than what it is. I don't have any issues with it. It is clearly well within their specs, which I believe is like 0.001 to 0.005, depending on which part they're measuring. That is very high standard to me. So what I'm going to show you here is a piece of wood that I cut today for a project. You can see my mark here. This is some maple I picked up over at Hughes Hardwoods, a local lumber store here out in where I live. And it's even got some curl to it. You might be able to pick it up in the camera. It's kind of hard to see. But I'm going to hold this here. Hopefully I can get it in the camera view. I'm not used to doing this from the camera side. I'm usually doing it from the screen side. But if you look, I don't see any light coming through that whatsoever. And on the side, same thing. And just to show you again, here's my jointed face and edge. I mean, I don't get any light from that whatsoever all the way along. So 5 stars on the fact that it comes aligned and ready to go right out of the box. It really helped speed up some of the projects I've been working on. I've got a bunch sitting in the queue, just kind of waiting to get on, but not enough time. So, and it cut through this maple. I mean, real easy. It was quiet. I mean, as quiet as for what, power tools can be, but, I didn't have any hearing protection on at the time. Didn't hurt my ears. In fact, my shop vac was probably louder. So, really high marks on that. Um, the bad, honestly, I can't even call it as a bad. Some people it might be a bad. It's the weight. I mean, it's a 12-inch joiner. It's going to be heavy. It's a benchtop joiner. It's going to be heavy. I don't know what it comes in at. When I had talked to UPS about the weight, or saw on their shipping label, I think it said it was 104 pounds. Probably not 104 pounds, but it's definitely over 80. You're not going to want to be lifting this thing up and down and over and all this other stuff. Right now, I have it set up on this folding table or bench, and I have it set on this bench behind me. So it's not too hard of a shift, when I have to move it out to the garage, but I'm not going to want to be doing that every time I need to use it. So down the road, I will be putting it on some type of rolling stand. The desk behind it's rolling, but it needs some adjustments done to it to be able to withstand all the weight of the planer and the joiner on it. But that might be a bad for some. For me, I actually like it. I know it's sturdy, it's secure, it's a solid piece. It's looking good. Not going to move on me or anything like that. I really like that. So, down the road, I'll get a stand for it. I'll build one, or maybe purchase I know Jet makes that flip top table one, so I can put both of them on there, or even just a single one for it. But that would be the only bad so far that some people might consider. Outside of that, honestly, I only can say good things about it right now. I know I've only used it for one day, but their customer support, I mean, hands down the best I've dealt with so far. Wen's customer support's really good. I've had to deal with them once or twice, but the fact that I was able to call, get an actual person to talk to, they went over everything with me, told me what they could do, how they can make things work, get things going. I love the fact that they did all that, and that they actually got it to me so quickly so I could get kind of back into the shop and working. So that's my review of the Cutech 12-inch joiner, benchtop joiner. Tell me what you think, what you like. If there's anything you want me to see specifically with this, or if there's any other tools you want me to review in my shop. I've got a Wen planer, an old Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw. I got my skill saw, which again, shout out to 731 Woodworks. Matt had done a review on that. I ended up going with that for my new table saw. And I got some other tools around here. Just let me know. Hope you like the video. Hope it's informative. You all take care. Have a great day and stay safe.